Good morning and welcome to this thought for the day for Tuesday, and today we're continuing in looking at Luke chapter 10, and so we're in verse 38. As Jesus and his disciples were on their way, he came to a village where a woman named Martha opened her home to him. He had a sister called Mary who sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he had said. But Martha was distracted by all the preparations that had to be made. She came to him and asked, "Lord, don't you care that my sister's left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me." "Martha, Martha," the Lord answered, "you're worried and upset about many things, but only one thing is needed. Mary has chosen what is better, and it will not be taken away from her." I've just come from the Monday morning prayer group and prayer time on Zoom, and I've had a really uncomfortable encounter with the Good Samaritan as we discussed the ins and outs of whether we'd stop for someone who was in need at the side of the road, and thought of all the risks that are involved in that. And of course, in the story that Jesus told, there was no lack of risk on the part of the people who saw the man who'd been accosted by robbers, and the robbers could still have been lurking behind the rocks and have popped out. And so it was quite an uncomfortable story to examine. And this story of Martha and Mary I find no less uncomfortable to read, because I know that I'm right on the side of Martha. If I'd been there, that's where I would have been. And it's quite a challenge to see Jesus' encounter with Martha and Mary, and to hear the way in which he dealt with them, and to see or hear what he had to say to Martha in that situation. And it's a real challenge, isn't it, when we come up against these words of Scripture, which are quite uncomfortable, to look into ourselves and see how we're going to respond to them, whether we're actually going to accept the words of Jesus, or whether we're going to dismiss them and say they don't apply to us. And of course, when we're in that situation, we know perfectly well that they do apply to us. So what is it that Jesus is saying? Is he saying that Mary's preparations for the meal are unimportant, and that she was unreasonable in seeking Mary's help? Well, I don't think he's quite saying that, but he is saying that Mary has had a right sense of priorities where Martha perhaps hasn't. How it would have worked out in practice, whether it would have meant that the meal had to be delayed, or that they had to have something different, or what it would have been, I don't know. But it just makes you think, well, where are my priorities? Would I stop for the person in need at the side of the road, or wherever it might be? And if it was a question of hearing the words of Jesus, or getting on with the work that needs to be done, where do I stand? I'm not quite sure what the practical examples are that one might give, and yet it's a very poignant story, and it makes us think. So I hope as you go through today, and as you consider what your priorities are going through the day, whether you will make sure that you do make time for Jesus, and even if other things do seem really important, that you'll be able to listen to him and take in what he has to say to you. So have a great day, have a great week, and God bless you.